So I made a couple videos over the last month talking about how I deal with anxiety, depression, all this other shit. But I never talked about what specifically I deal with in terms of sensations and symptoms. So I wanted to make this video kind of explaining that. And I also wanted to see if anyone else who watches this video can even relate to what I go through. Because, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like some of these sensations and shit that I deal with, I'm like the only one who goes through it. And it's very hard to get reassurance when I'm dealing with shit that it seems like no one else deals with when it comes to anxiety. So one of the first things I notice when I'm anxious is my breathing. My breathing just becomes extremely shallow and I have a very, very hard time getting it regulated again. I literally will be conscious of my breathing and I cannot help but try and take deep breaths all the time because I just have an extreme thirst for air. Even though in my head I know that I'm over breathing and I'm getting too much air, I literally cannot help but try and take deep breaths like every 20 to 30 seconds. And then as this persists, I just keep thinking to myself, oh God, like what if I stop breathing? Or what if I'm gonna have to call an ambulance because I'm gonna drop dead because I'm not getting enough air? And all these crazy fucking thoughts run through my head and it's so hard to deal with. So I'll literally try anything to try and distract myself, and sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. It just takes time for me to be able to calm down and to be able to get my breathing regulated again. So yeah, that's one of the scariest symptoms that I have to deal with. Another one that really sucks ass is muscle tension, specifically in the center of my chest. My muscle tension isn't as bad now, but a few months ago it was persistent for about 2 months straight, where I thought that I actually had the virus. Like, I thought I had something extremely wrong with me. Because I shit you not, for the entirety of that 2-month span, I was thinking about my breathing about, I would say 3/4 of the day, every single day. And I'm talking like the first thought I would have when I wake up is, how is my breathing? How is my breathing? I would right away be hyper focused on how my breathing was. And then if my chest was still tight, then I was like, oh fuck, here we go again. And I literally just couldn't stop thinking about it. And it would just persist and persist. I would be manually breathing the entire day because my anxiety was just through the roof. And that has been one of the scariest symptoms I've had. And I still deal with it a bit today, but thankfully not as extreme. It's not all day. It's usually maybe a couple days I'll deal with it, but I'm definitely better able to manage it now. There's a few other symptoms that I get that don't happen as often, such as a tingling feeling in my arms, kind of like a pins and needles sensation. I'll start sweating. My mouth gets really dry. I've even gotten myself pretty sick to the point where I will actually start dry heaving. I'll actually feel like I'll have to throw up because my anxiety will just get that bad. But usually that's in extreme situations where I'm just in a humongous state of worry. So thankfully that does not happen often. The last two symptoms that I'm going to mention are the absolute fucking worst. In my opinion, these are the two worst symptoms that I've ever had to experience during an anxiety attack. And those are heart palpitations and adrenaline rushes. The heart palpitations do not happen as often, but they still are very, very fucking scary because I will honestly feel like I'm about to have a heart attack. Normally my heart will just race and it won't beat really, really hard. And there will be times where my heart will beat really, really hard and I can feel it and can hear it as well. And it's just a super scary feeling. I'll immediately start freaking out and assuming that I'm going to have a heart attack and that it couldn't possibly be a panic attack, anxiety attack. Luckily, when it happens, it usually only lasts a few seconds and then goes away. But even so, it does not take away from how frightening it is because it is a bitch to deal with. And then going back to the adrenaline rushes, that has been the #1 most debilitating sensation that I've had to deal with. Whenever I get that massive rush of adrenaline flowing through my body, I physically cannot function. I will literally freeze up and tense up all around. Even if it's only for a few seconds, I feel like I cannot move because I am so paralyzed with fear. And of course, this shit happens at the worst possible times, which is usually when I'm driving. There have been a few instances where I've had a massive rush of adrenaline go through my body, where the only thing that I can do is just slam on the brakes and nothing else. My body freezes up so much from that adrenaline rush, I literally just can hit the brakes and that's it, and then somehow pull off to the side of the road if I'm capable. And of course, after I'm able to do that, it all goes away and my heart's still kind of pounding, but I'm able to calm down. But during that moment in time, it is the scariest fucking feeling in the world, and I feel like I'm going to go crazy and lose control and just die right then and there. And not only do I worry about dying because of the shit that I experience, but also, like when I'm driving, I have to worry about causing a fucking car accident. Because seriously, the only thing I can do in that moment in time is hit my brakes. So if there's someone behind me, they're gonna have to hit their brakes as well. Like, I'm lucky I have not caused a pile up because of that shit. So as you can see, yeah, it's a real fun time when I have these adrenaline rushes. And that's been by far the worst sensation that I've had to deal with over the last 10 years. And what's crazy is when I look up anything, when I've researched this on the internet, I could not find a single thing related to panic attacks and adrenaline rushes. For a while, I thought I had something extremely wrong with me that I was experiencing these adrenaline rushes. Because whenever I would Google anything, you'd find, oh, panic attack symptoms such as like chills, trembling, sweating, breathing problems, feeling weak, dizzy, tingly, nauseous, all that shit. But there would be absolutely nothing talking about adrenaline rushes. So it wasn't until I saw a therapist that I knew that this was apparently common. And just recently I talked to someone over the internet who is apparently anxiety free now, but they mentioned that they also suffered from really, really bad adrenaline rushes very frequently. So I don't know, maybe most people don't experience that, but I know that is by far the worst symptom that I have to deal with. But anyway, for anyone who watches this video who also struggles with anxiety, panic, any of that shit, I'm curious to know what you experience as well when it comes to your anxiety/panic symptoms. Because I'm also really curious to see if I can find anyone else that can relate to me in the adrenaline rush shit, because I can't find hardly anyone that can relate to that besides the person I spoke to. Anyway, I hope this video can help someone out in some way. I know I'm not the greatest speaker. I still need to learn how to talk into a microphone. I know it's probably hard to listen to me, but I suppose I'll learn as I go. So I look forward to seeing what people have to say, and that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Later.